Sorry. The Runnemede Board of Education meeting is called to order. The Board of Education is in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 entitled the Open Public Meetings Act. The time, date, and location of this meeting was appropriately advertised by notifying the retrospect as well as posting notices in the Borough Hall, Runnemede Post Office, Mary Holt School, Allied Bingham School, Grace Downing School, and the Runnemede Public School District website. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, board members.
Ms. Adair?
Here.
Ms. Beebe?
Here.
Mr. Buckheim?
Here.
Ms. Davidson?
Here.
Mr. Lego?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
Ms. Panzarella?
Here.
Ms. Baldwin?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Also present, Mark Iannucci, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Sean McCarron, Business Administrator, Supervisor of Curriculum and Instruction, and Frank Hines, Supervisor of Building and Grounds. At this time, I need a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from November 21st, 2017.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Motion made by Maria, seconded by Patty. Is there any questions on the minutes? Roll call.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Lego?
Wait, excuse me, I have to abstain because I was not here.
He's not.
My apologies, yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Baldwin?
Yes.
Motion passes.
At this time, I need a motion for the financial report period ending November 30th, 2017.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the financial report.
Motion made by Naomi, second by Dennis. Sorry, Pat, I didn't hear you. Roll call.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Lego?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Baldwin?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So we're going to move, table the presentation. Mr. Colavita's probably stuck in traffic. No correspondence at this time, correct?
Correct.
At this time, we're open for public comments on agenda items only. At this time, does anyone have any public comment on the agenda items listed? If not, Secretary, curriculum report, please.
Okay, for the business office, we finalized our audit. As you can see, the auditors will be coming tonight to present, which we have mentioned. We are preparing for the 18-19 school year, so we've been talking with our building level administrators, our supervisors in regards to what we're looking to do for next year. Our administrators will be reaching out to teachers within the district to request what it is they need for next year in their classrooms. And then also just a lot going on right now in terms of in the business office regarding before and after care. We do have to become a certified child care provider. In the past, school districts were exempt from that process. So that now means that even though myself and all of our staff are fingerprinted at very high levels, since it's now run and operated by a different department within the state, we have to be fingerprinted by them as well. So we all have to go get fingerprinted, we have to go through their process, we have to show that the buildings are okay to use even though they're used as a school. So as they go through that process, we're hitting some hiccups here and there. The borough has been extremely helpful in terms of getting us some documents that we need in order to get those approvals. Frank has been extremely helpful getting any documents he has, but hopefully we'll be through that process. One of the reasons why we have to do that is to collect money from the state for those parents who use before and after care as a voucher, because some families are able to use it if they're working or full-time students are able to participate. So it's making sure that they're still able to utilize those services. In terms of curriculum and instruction, I've been attending the county meetings. I just went to a data meeting today, which is a consortium within South Jersey. We did have, we will be having CUSAC come up. We actually pushed back our CUSAC visit and put a hold on that because one thing that we were, under curriculum and instruction, we've been reviewed every year. The reason is because we had below an 80%. One of the things that we had below an 80% on was test scores, because that's something that we can't control. In looking at CUSAC, they were using New Jersey-esque test scores. We have not used New Jersey-esque since 2014, so that score followed us every year that we've gone through CUSAC. Runnemede is contesting that and requesting that they use a different form to score us on, which would then have them use the park scores. This new form is coming out next year. The county office informed us that that can make our score go down. What that means is absolutely nothing because our score is already below 80%. We are going through a full QSAC review next year, so we want to have them review us completely this year and tell us what's working, what isn't working, so that way when we go through QSAC review next year for the entire district, we're able to already make those improvements and changes as needed. So that's one of the approvals you'll be approving tonight, which is on the agenda, to allow us to submit that application and allow us to go through that QSAC process. And that's sign up, getting ready for testing the spring, so that's all I have.
Any questions for Dr. McCarron? Ms. Carnegie?
Just a couple of things to tell you, Mr. McCarron. As I told you last meeting, we were supposed to have those 2 meetings with the county office included the same week. However, both were postponed, I won't say canceled, so we'll make that a later date. The meeting with this office was postponed a last minute thing, so we'll probably get an idea of January, half hour before it's supposed to happen. We'll probably get an idea of when we're supposed to be back down there in January, and once we do that, I'll pass on my information to you, and also the QSAC. As Dr. McCarron explained. District enrollment sustains similar numbers as last month. Just a couple of district events, if you were able to attend the Colts Holiday Concert back in beginning of the month, it was a good turnout, I believe. Auditorium was packed again this year, so it's always nice to see that. The kids did great, kids and staff did a great job. I want to thank all the secretaries and administrators for the fundraising help this year with the stockings for sailors was something that we collaborated with. I know some local people did that fundraiser, and they did a nice job. Also the canned food drive collection. And our holiday committee not only did the Thanksgiving baskets, but they're currently gift wrapping and will distribute presents tomorrow, I believe, to the families, as well as some meals going out on Thursday. So contribute or have contributed in the past, we must thank you for that. Mrs. Spalding sent me an email back in early December regarding just a quick update on goals. So I sent that to you. I don't know if anybody had any questions on goals. Else, if you had a chance to reflect on board goals, now would be the time. If you have any questions, I try to answer them.
I have a couple.
Sure.
Under goal 1, you said that there was a meeting for the grading committee, and then I guess there was discussion. What are they specifically looking at right now?
Grading committee, Mr. Perry, you want to take that over? Because I know we talked about ELA, transforming that a little bit.
Yeah, grading committee is our second year now. We meet 3 to 5 times a year, depending on need. We talk about a range of things from everyday assessment in the classroom to overall assessment and reporting on report cards and things like that. Get teacher feedback from for all aspects of the grading system. Our biggest focus this year is we started a discussion at the end of last year about the possibility of combining reading and English in 6th to 8th grade and writing and reading in 4th and 5th grade to report it in one grade. We did some research plus Triton to make sure that it would align as far as 8th grade going to 9th grade. We checked with real time to make sure it was something that we could do if we're not on top of it quick enough. And we, of course, checked with our special ed department to see how that would impact IEP. At this point, we're at the stage where we feel like it's doable. We feel like there's such a combination, there's such a crossover in the 2 subject areas that any differentiation as far as reporting progress in a separate area could be done through comments and conferencing. So it looks like we're going to move in that direction, for the benefit of, staff and students. It's the way we contacted Belmar's what Belmar does it. We're just trying to make our grading system more efficient.
Can I just touch on that real quick? How do the administrators and staff overall feel about the trimesters instead of the marking periods like we previously did? And I'm just asking because it was I had emailed you as a parent. It was the first time like when my first child came through, it was, and me at the high school, it's 4 marking periods, and then we move to the trimesters. What are the overall thoughts on that with grading and the teachers or?
As far as I know, it's great feedback. The feeling is, with the, with the quarters, there just wasn't enough time to get momentum as far as progress reports. You couldn't have enough grades in. Trimesters kind of balance it out, where you can get like an authentic assessment of the child's progress in that time. So everything I have heard is positive.
Okay. Under goal 4, communications. Mark, are you still attending the Rotary Club
Yes.
meetings? Okay, I just wasn't sure, because I know the different board members are attending different activities in the community, and I know that's a good one to be attending. What's the status on our application to be sustainable school?
We actually got an application, we got the response yesterday, we were denied the grant. They did encourage us to apply again. There's also some sub-grants that they also encourage us to apply to. And they're also going to provide some feedback at a later date on when we apply for the next round, on what we can do differently to add to that grant. Like it's a better chance of getting.
Okay. Whatever happened with the suggestion made by one of the board members, and I think the board supported that idea of the bi-monthly meeting and greeting with parents prior to the board meeting? Bi-monthly?
That was a board goal, correct?
That was under the board goal, but I don't think the board would be putting out a notification to the parents. It would be through central administration.
Well, we can do whatever you'd like. That was,
I don't know how the board members feel about it. It seemed like we thought that was a good idea to get some more community input.
What month would you like us to organize that, and we can set that up?
Well, January is our reorg and
Maybe
our,
February.
What time would you like that to happen? Do you want it at 6:30, do you want it at 7?
6:30.
And how are we planning for, like, what would be the notification? Like, could you global connect it? Could you
We
contact
could
them
do it
or
through our
putting it on their
we can
website?
do global
All right.
connect, we can do real time.
Announcements.
Announcements page, we can.
Our principals do
somehow
weekly
email.
announcements.
I think what I was saying too earlier on is that the Global Connect will hit the parents here, but in terms of the community members who don't have school-age children is my, that's what I was saying, like, if we ever went out for a bond referendum, and yes, in the past, when, we needed to, and even to pass the budget, we could do like, round table discussions and coffee clutches and all that, but again, there's a huge tax base out there that does not have school-age children. So I think reaching out to the borough and having it put on they have a new website now, and someone, controlling specifically their Facebook page. And I just think that it's very, very important to get that information out in that aspect. Also, just reach out to them and ask them. They announce a lot in the council meetings, in terms of, community events. Just reach out to them and ask them to announce it there too, because there may not be a large turnout in the meeting, but there's a large audience that watches it. It's on Dan's blog, and he has a huge audience. So if it could just be, put out there for the community that doesn't necessarily have school-age children, that won't get the real-time with Global Connect, and, whatever reminder is done on the school level. Again, there's senior citizens, there's people who don't have school and children in school that would need, that should be welcome into the schools. Again, their tax dollars are coming here, supporting here, and if we ever needed those community members, I think that's where, like, my concern was. I think that overall, our students, parents would be on board, but again, there's a large population that does not include those people, the students and parents.
Good point.
Under that same goal, there was a website update to include a bio and a picture. So if you could, or I will, send out an email for the board and maybe have someone here at the reorg meeting, since we'll have a full board. So relax.
So
I'll Photoshop you.
Okay. So do you want us to bring a photograph?
No,
No.
we have cameras. We have a camera, right?
we can take.
Because you can scan a photograph.
It's fine.
40 pounds.
Okay.
So that'll be done in January.
When I'm looking at the board goals, especially goal number 2,
Give you a bottle of
I
Starbucks.
think just about every board member sitting here tonight has earned their 5 or more credits this year. That goal has been achieved. And I'm glad our president asked and initiated the idea of every board member here becoming a certified board member. So,
Angel and I completed what we needed to do, so we will be recognized in the spring.
very good. Patty, you've got it.
Patty got it. I was
got it.
wrong. I was wrong. And Dennis is on his way quickly, and Dan, it's like, almost everything that I've been at, they've also been at. So although I think they have to wait till one term, they're well on their way there.
One of ours was safety and security, and I happened to read in Mr. Hines' report about replacing some locks on doors. And Patty, you and I, we've talked about the security, is how critical that is. I would love I'd like to ask that Sean and Mark keep your eyes and ears open on grants that will be available in the future. I would love to see us get to where every classroom door lock is changed to where it's automatic, that the teacher has what they call on a chain, fob. It's called a fob.
Yeah, card access.
Yeah. No, this would be a fob where anywhere in the room they could lock that door instantaneously. I would like to see us look for grants to where we could make every single classroom that in an instant a teacher could lock that door, not have to run 20, 30 feet or ask a student to go lock it. I know it's not cheap, that's what I'm saying, we look for grants. And I'd love to see us go in that direction. Again, it's one step higher in our security for our children here in our schools. Under goal 3, you guys will be giving us one first of 2 biannual progress update on sustainable benchmarks. That would probably be, since we're reorg, I guess February then, since January's a reorg meeting.
What do you want to ask? Go through?
Under the board goals.
Or our goals?
Well, the central administration is going to give us an update on that information. I guess would be February, not January, because it's reorg. Okay. And then again in June or July. Okay, they were all my questions.
Go ahead.
You want to go first?
No, go ahead.
I have a question on district goal, under curriculum. Evidence is shown as report cards, updated to reflect standards and student performance. Well, first of all, is there a beginning benchmark from the beginning of the year? Or are children retested when they first enter?
Yes.
Okay, so were they retested again under whichever benchmark you guys chose to use?
The benchmark that we use is utilized in September. It's utilized when we return in January. It's utilized the end of May, early June.
Okay, so.
3 times a year for students who are in interventions. It's utilized every 8 weeks to show progress and growth.
Okay, so then in January, I would assume we'd have the next benchmark and we'll get an update on where we were and where we are.
Correct.
That's all.
Any other questions? If not, I'm gonna rewind because Mr. Calavita is here and I don't wanna keep him waiting. I'm assuming he waited in traffic long enough on the way here.
Something happened out there.
Yeah. We're all
I don't know what it
aware.
is, but
We're all aware. So
I'm
you
not
have.
gonna make my next 2 meetings anyway. If
Well,
you
welcome
wanted
back.
to do something else, I could wait.
No, absolutely not.
All right, well, it's good to see you all now. Just to reiterate, I do this every year. Your audit has 3 phases. A financial phase, where it's the dollars and cents, balance sheets, income statements. Then you have a compliance phase. You have to follow the federal, state, and local laws. And the 3rd phase is called internal control. It's incumbent on you to run the school district in a business-like manner, and you have a set of policies in place that are partially in place to make sure that the taxpayers' money is safeguarded, and that we call internal control. Of course, you have other policies that have to do more with curriculum and other things, but somewhere in there are controls that we're to check. And we perform that 3-phase audit on this large document we prepare for you. It's your responsibility, but we prepare it. Then the smaller document, it's called the AMR Management Report, whereas this large document is CAFR, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. After we prepare that audit, we see if we have any findings. Comments and recs, findings, they've had different jargon over the years, but it's basically where you need improvement. Now, we have a strange situation this year. You did such a good job with your cafeteria, it has a little bit too much money. You planned on spending it on something, so you really don't have it anymore. But the rules are very rigid, I don't really agree with them, but I had to put a finding that your net cash resources, it's a certain formula, is in excess of what 30% of the expenditures in the 10-month period. So I tried to argue the point, I went as high as I could, and the person said, no, we have to put it as a finding. So it's resolved already, you don't have to do anything, and it isn't anything to worry about. I don't even think it should be a finding. So why are we in this good position? I'll tell you why. For the last several years, you've improved each year, and your records are really up to speed all the way around. Sean and his assistants, they're really doing a very good job. We had some findings over the prior years going back, but all that's resolved. And it was a tough year because you switched assistants to Sean, like right at year end, so the person that did the books all year wasn't even there to close. And with the exception of one little misstep on my part, I had to redo something. I misunderstood something Sean said. It seemed right, but it was in the wrong context. But we fixed that. Everything's fine. And I don't have anything else to say other than I'll answer any question. Of course, anytime I'll come over if you have questions. If there are any now, I'll be happy to answer.
Wow, you traveled all that way to tell us, good job, huh? I'm just saying, I've been through some years when you've been here a lot longer than you sat in traffic.
The only thing I can say is you know what you're gonna get with me. You're gonna
Yeah,
get
I'm
straight
not-
to
I'm
the
just
we
saying.
appreciate that, we
We-
like
we
that.
absolutely.
What it is. If it's good, I'm gonna.
Absolutely,
If it's
listen,
bad,
oh,
I'm
that's
gonna
a
say
good
it,
one,
too.
yeah.
To protect myself, really.
Yeah.
So, enjoy what you got going now, and the two people, the main two people under Sean, they stepped it up. I'm not gonna say we tortured them, we had to ask a lot of questions, and we did, and until I'm satisfied, I won't sign. So even though you didn't see me, I'm right in it. They're only in the next room here or there, so it's all good. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And are you sure there's no questions?
Ray, we really appreciate your hard work and diligence to, and their hard work and diligence to make sure that we are A-OK, and we trust our administration to
Right now,
do that. Thank
it's
you.
good.
Thank you.
We appreciate all your advice in the past to get to this
Yes.
point, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's getting to be just fun now.
Really?
First couple of years ago. I won't even go there.
Hold on a
Take your
minute.
time, you got
Whose
people
behalf
waiting.
are you speaking on?
Because we have the right people in jobs now. And they're knowledgeable,
Well, yes.
they work hard.
I'm not supposed to judge people's performance, but I would
Yes.
say, therefore, what you have right now, there's no reason they can't get the job done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Ray.
if they
Thank
don't
you.
want it, I could have the audit report thicker next year. So, anyway,
Thank you, Ray.
I'm due in Salem County a half hour ago, so I don't think I'm going to make it. Anyway, good to see you.
Thank you.
Happy
Good to
New
see
Year.
you. You too. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Pleasure.
So back to the superintendent's report. Does anyone have any additional questions, or were you finished?
That's all I have.
Madam President, can I go back to Steve's report? Just a comment, it was wonderful, but not every member of the board has worked in education. And in your report, under the goals, the first goal, you talk about Bloom's taxonomy. Unless you've worked in the educational field, some of these board members may not realize what Bloom's taxonomy is, so if you could kind of, next time, put it in parentheses, cognitive, effective,
I'll put a
psychomotor.
diagram on it.
Yeah, put the diagram.
Talk about
The
knowledge,
pyramid.
emotional connection to learning, and your physical, so, that's what Bloom's taxonomy is about. But some might not realize that.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
So the other reports, nurses, building and grounds, special education, anything there? No?
I just wanna mention that,
Yeah.
Frank has been working very hard. One thing that we've been working on is replacing lighting throughout the district and moving to LED. So in different offices, he's been pulling out lights, so for 3 lights that he pulled out and replaced them with LED equals 1 light of what it currently was. So in terms of wattage and things like that, that's all being stepped up. While we're doing those things, and those all fall under the sustainable schools, it's also important to remember that sustainable schools will not accept that as completed. So while they'll commend us in the application on, great job, let us know as you complete this task fully, or let us know once everything's been installed. Everything is a process. So we're constantly updating those pieces within the grant. We're showing them all the things that we are working on. And I kind of look at it as a base, so that way each time that we resubmit, we're going in and revising. And as I told you, come August 1, I think is when everything turned over and everything expires. Then you start from ground 1 again each year, but we have the feedback that they've been giving us, and we'll continue to work towards that.
And that application, as we all know, is a 5-year, that's a 5-year goal. So we're only in what, year 1 or 2? 2, I guess, so.
Is there a rebate on the lighting, Sean?
That's something that we've been talking to with, in terms of E-rate and things like that, what we can get back,
You go right to your supplier to get that, we don't have to do it.
to see what's available for school districts as well. Also, when we do that though, it's how we then procure those resources. So many times it's going through, whether the quote process or also going through people who are under state contract. And once you fall under those certain contracts, you aren't always eligible for other things in regards to that. So it's following that process as well.
That's nice to do that, because we did that when I was, no deal, no bulbs, no valves,
Mhm.
no maintenance, it's great.
Well, now anytime we have a big lighting issue, the question always comes up where Frank comes in, he's like, do I get the light and the lift and replace it, or do I change it altogether? I'm like, well, get me a quote, let's see where we are. I'm like, who are we getting it from? Can we do it this year, or do we have to wait? So it's always a game, so Frank has been doing an excellent job along with his team, so.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
It's Dario.
Thanks, Frank.
But just
Good
remember,
job,
just remember, Frank, I see you at 6:45 a.m. without your coat on, and it's cold, you're gonna get sick, so get that coat on. He's driving by, I'm driving by Downing on my way to work at 6:45, and he's out there in that shirt, short sleeve.
He's advertising.
The mom and me, the mom and me
Get the farmer
cringes.
truck out and get stuck in the sack of fields.
Alright, PTA report,
He showed up on the
There's-
tractor.
I don't think there's anything going on. Camden County Ed Services Commission?
Yeah. Was at the last meeting on December the 6th, and not much to report. They had their audit review and everything was fine there. The only other thing that came up in that meeting is that they have been researching for several months and are going to switch the major software package that they use. Because what school districts are using isn't applicable in a lot of areas. The Camden County Educational Services Commission isn't a school district that operates like a school. It provides services to school districts throughout South Jersey. So that's the report as far as at that meeting. And they are not meeting in January, so I won't have anything at the January meeting. Zoning board, a lot of activity. I'll give you an update. The mayor and the whole zoning board committee, they weren't too happy with the consultant's plan to refurbish and redo our down the Black Horse Pike, our business area. So it went back to be remodeled, redesigned. So the zoning board committee is going to be reviewing this through January, and then in February, they're going to have it open to the public, what their ideas or what their recommendations are. So that's where that stands as far as where are we going with changing the appearance of the Black Horse Pike to make it more inviting for businesses and make it more inviting for people to stop into those businesses. There was a variance that was applied for and denied. If you think of Clements Bridge Road, down where that little laundromat is, part of that complex has been empty for a long time, well over a year. There's a gentleman that purchased the building, wants to open up a thrift store, but he failed to submit a site plan, so the variance request was denied. He'll be back at the next monthly meeting with a site plan. He was there with his lawyer, and there was an oversight on their part, so that variance was denied, but it probably will get approved. There's another variance that was approved. If you go on the other side of the pike at Clemensbridge Road, where the beauty salon is, there's an attorney's complex, and back behind that used to be Bill Leap's business. There's a sign, does good sign and everything. One of those buildings back there is owned by an electrician. It's him and 3 employees. He bought the building next door and put it in the variance because he wants to take that other building, use it to warehouse his supplies, put an office in there. His wife does all the administrative work, and put a small apartment with 1 bedroom, a little kitchen area and bathroom. They live in Florida 6 months, and they're up here 6 months. Instead of renting an apartment somewhere for 6 months at $1,400 a month, he owns the building, so he asked, and he had a site plan, asked for variance, and it was approved. So he's going to be converting the building for storage and for a small apartment for them to live in when they are up here, not in Florida. Some good announcement was Antoinette Restaurant. It's been closed down for quite a long time. Is being purchased by a group. It would have happened already. However, the previous owner was unable to come up with the liquor license. So the person that wants to buy it says, until you have the liquor license, because that's a part of the deal with this purchase, this isn't going anywhere. So the mayor announced that that's been taken care of, resolved, and probably next month that purchase is going to happen in January. And hopefully by springtime the restaurant will be open. I don't know what it's going to be, the name of it, the kind of food, but we'll have that restaurant back.
And I say what they're planning to do along the Black Horse Pike, or what they're...
Yes,
are.
well, this is a consultant's firm that's making suggestions based on what other communities have done, like Collingswood, Haddon Heights, Haddonfield. They want to make offers to people that live in houses along the pike and buy them. They're not going to force anyone to sell or to move out, but to make a reasonable offer on their properties so they can add some additional parking down the Lepers Pike, because you can't park on the pike in most areas, where it's very limited. And to bring in some businesses, they are thinking about putting in a, if you go out Evesham, if you're heading towards Voorhees, where the Cinemark movie theater is, they put in a complex with like condos or townhouses.
Oh, yeah.
They have ideas of putting some of those up along the pike to bring in people into the community. As well as look at other areas in Runnemede, like the ground that we were looking at. You know, if we could get like Bill Gates to give us the money to build a school district. They're looking at what could be done with that property. So it's looking at every piece of property that's still available, that there's no housing or businesses on, as well as what they can do to make Runnemede more inviting for people to stop, shop, eat. You know,
And
spend
Dennis,
money
what
here.
we did was, you know, like by Holiday Inn, the Bend, we had, like mayor and council asked us, like, to combine and build a new school complex, so we had Garrison, you know, figure it out, it would be about $48 million. And, you know, we don't get any money, so we had to sit down with mayor and council and explain to them that we can't put that burden on our taxpayers, so we would love a new school complex as well. So we were looking at that, at that area, that ground there, because that's probably the biggest
Yeah,
piece of land in the town that's not used currently.
That other spot, right behind me, it used to be a Rite Aid, that's been sitting empty for
yeah.
10 years, I just wonder what's going on with that.
Nothing. There was some discussion about the playground that's back there.
Right.
And it seems like right now it's going to be closed down, because there seems to be complaints from people that live in that part of Runnemede, and others like yourself that said that you never had a problem with the kids playing back there.
Some of the kids, I think it was the NYAA, had their flag football practice, or this is the first year I didn't see them.
Yeah.
They were always back there, but I've never seen an issue back there at all.
I don't know if they're friends with the zoning committee in Belmar, but they've done a great job that once something's down, it's like within the year, something's back up. Like, they do a good job of making sure that the big things on the pike are taken care of. So I don't know what they do, but.
And I'll tell you what, I've been sitting in on these zoning board meetings now for 2 years, and I have to commend that board. You're not gonna get a variance unless you meet all the specifications, all the requirements, which I think is good. It protects our community, people that, if you're gonna start a business, the houses around there. For instance, the gentleman who bought the property where we used to have the sign business, he's gonna have some outside lighting in the other building that he's gonna use for warehouse, and they made it very clear, we'll shut you down, that lighting cannot intrude on the residents' properties. It can only be reflected down on your property, or we will close it down. So they're, they're thinking of people that live here in the community, not just the business people.
Thank you, Chaz. New Jersey School Boards, Naomi, you wanna speak for Chaz since you were the,
Thank you for going for it.
Yes, for the delegate assembly that
Yes.
we attended, there were several, issues going on. One of them was we had a large discussion about charter schools and the funding for charter schools. And I believe there was some wording in the policy that they wanted to change that was not approved for consideration.
there was one
There
other
was
thing.
other-
Oh, yeah, special ed.
Special education, I believe that one also did not pass. There was some wording in that policy. There was much discussion about, cap on special education costs. And, I believe that it was a very, it was very interesting because you had viewpoints of North Jersey.
Yeah, totally different than us.
Totally different views from North Jersey than we had from South Jersey.
And larger districts
Yes.
compared to us.
Very much so, that are being, that are actually in the red
Mhm.
because of their special education costs. So, I think it's still gonna be under review about the cutting or capping the cost of special education. But the wording in the policy that they wanted to approve did not, I have it all at home, I can make sure I get it to you, but it did not pass.
Can
either.
you just clarify one thing, especially for our people in the audience? If I remember from reading it before I went away, they wanted to put a cap not on public education, special education, but on these private schools where we send our children with, they'll raise the price 15% the next year, whereas we're all limited to a
Right.
2% increase.
Right.
And so they wanted them to also have that same
Yes.
limitation.
Right, and that did not, in the wording with the delegate assembly and the wording for the amendment, it did not,
Okay.
pass.
Thank you again for coming.
You're welcome. I was accompanied by, Angel and Ms. Baldwin too.
Thanks.
Wasn't, it
It was very interesting.
It was interesting,
Is
and,
it?
and it wasn't too bad. Like, I was afraid that I was gonna be late for Sammy's football game.
They finished.
But I was
On
like, it was
time.
like 10, but we got out about like 10:45-ish even, we didn't even
Wow.
stay till 12.
We've had times where.
So, yeah, so it worked in our
They
favor.
use parliamentary procedure very
They
well.
sure do.
Yes, they do.
They
They
sure
are
do.
very, thorough and very precise in, making sure that their amendments are done quickly and, they're very aware of the time.
Well, I've enjoyed that assignment, but when we reorganize in January, if someone would like to do it for a year or two, as the delegate.
All set for reorg.
We'll have to
I'll
think
take
about
that
for
from you.
Yeah, that, it's
I'll
interesting.
take that from you,
So
it's only twice a year.
Right.
I owe him one, I owe him one.
See that, Jazz?
I owe Chaz a few, alright.
There was one more
The
thing,
monthly
too.
one? No, you can keep that.
There was a major grant that was given to New Jersey School Boards Association. I believe it was from Dell Corporation.
Yeah.
And Cisco too, right? And Cisco also did a matching grant to New Jersey School Boards Association so that we could become more,
Yeah.
I think it was a technology, not exactly, I think it was for technology upgrades.
Negotiations, Angel?
Is that what you mean?
Alright. I did put on the bottom of the sheet that's going around, I noticed today, I got an email from school boards that are, if like, people who are on our finance committee, they are having like a lunch and learn in February up at Trenton where we were for the delegate assembly, and it seemed to be interesting if you guys wanted to go do that. And I'm gonna go to the one they're having for the new superintendent's evaluation, so that way when that comes up, I can help all of you with it. So I'll go to that. I'll help you with it though.
Extremely.
I know, you give me anxiety just thinking about it.
Also, if you looked at my report from the conference in Atlantic City, one of the workshops was on the superintendent
Yep.
evaluation, so that'll give you some information as well.
Yep. So at this time, we are going to introduce the board of candidates. I just want to commend Barbara, Mrs. Sands, for not letting up or giving up, and despite the missing petition in July that we were fighting the county with, and then how we thought you were in, and I told you were in, but really you weren't in, and month after month, you know, because us Runnemede girls don't give up when we want something, so, we, want to, congratulate you, because you are the lone applicant, and therefore we would like to, I would need a motion to recommend Barbara Sands, to fill the remaining term through December 2018 position on the Runnemede Board of Education.
I'd like to make that first motion.
Motion made by Chaz,
Go ahead.
seconded by Angel. Roll call.
Mrs. Derrick,
Yes.
Ms. Beebe,
Yes.
Mr. Buckon,
Yes.
Ms. Davidson,
Yes.
Mr. Lego,
Yes.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella,
Yes.
Ms. Spalding.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So I don't know if Dr. McCarron told you that he's going to administer the oath of office to you right now,
It's a process. we-
today. Surprise.
I need a chair.
And a chair for her too, when she's done.
Don't worry, print it out so that way you don't have to remember.
Mark loves when I get close to
I like
him.
those.
Come on, Mark.
Whatever. I like to stand over here because I feel like it gets the best angle on Dan's camera for me.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm like, right there, it's all about angle. I just Sorry. I'm right behind you. It's all about the angle, you know? Go ahead, so you're just gonna repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Barbara Sands,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and this state,
and this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I state your name,
I, Barbara Sands,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
So it shouldn't be that long.
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
for the office of member of Board of Education,
for the office of member of the Board of Education,
that I am not disqualified as a voter
that I am not disqualified as a voter
pursuant to NJSA 19:4-1,
pursuant to NJSA 19:4-1,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Ooh, lives.
You're welcome,
Welcome for it.
I already said congratulations.
So Dennis, you're just like a veteran now. Yeah. So Angel, we're gonna go to, So we are going to go into the unfinished business, so
So-
top, go ahead.
Very quickly, so just so anyone understands, for the write-in votes, there was a 3-year write-in and a 2-year write-in. Mr. Murray received the highest votes for both 3-year and 2-year. Mrs. Sams received the second highest votes for both the 3-year and the 2-year. That being said, it does not go to the second person. In speaking to the county and in speaking to our solicitor, what happens is that Mr. Murray had the ability to select which position he chose, which was the 3-year term, which left open and vacant the 2-year term. As you know from prior, we cannot just assign someone to a 2-year term. So what that means is that that position remains vacant until the next election, which is why we were able to then advertise for the vacant position again, see what candidates came for that, and then that will be a 1-year term in the next election. So for the next election, we would have the 3-year terms that we have every year, plus a 1-year term, which will fulfill that final one until we get back to the 3-year term for the election. Does that make sense?
Yes. And Sean, you'll let us know who's up.
Mm-hmm.
Of course we will.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's usually our June
You
meeting,
get
that
like
I,
a big packet.
because the petitions are due then, so,
Have to have this document better.
absolutely.
So you can vote yes or no now on these things. So if you wanna look at it, like the first one's easy, it's just, operating transportation for facility use and field trips. So, are you ready, Dr. Sam?
Ready.
Yes, she has one. I need a motion to approve items numbers 1 and 2 under property and transportation.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Chaz, seconded by Patty. Any questions? Roll call?
Mrs. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Lego?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Spalding?
Yes.
Ms. Sams?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Good job. Under personnel, I need a motion to approve items numbers 1 through 7. 6 and 7 are on the other, they were added items.
I'd like to make a motion to approve personnel items 1 through 7.
Thank you, Naomi.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. Any questions? Roll call.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Lego?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Spalding?
Yes.
Ms. Sams? Motion passes.
Ms. Yes, would you mind introducing your new staff member at Graham School?
Sure, this is Adrian, she will be a new, aide at Bingham, effective in January 2018, and we're really happy to have her on board. It's, we've had a lot of new hires and things, kind of, a lot of moving parts, but, I think she's gonna be a great fit, so we're happy to have her.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Under finance, I need a motion to items numbers 1 through 10.
I'll make a motion to approve items 1 through 10 under finance.
Second?
Motion made by Maria, seconded by Naomi. I have a question.
Yes.
So, the professional development workshops, one person's 200, one person's 250, is that how that works, or is that a typo?
It depends on what level of certification they
That's-
hold. in order
okay.
to attend.
All right,
I think it was for the membership.
Gotcha. And then, like, that makes sense to me, I just didn't, that's what I just wanted to know. And then, number 10, the revised tuition there,
Correct.
for the students, is that higher or lower than it was before?
Lower.
Okay,
We were in contention over one of the costs that we were.
gotcha, okay, I couldn't remember offhand. I don't have any other questions, anyone else? Roll call.
Mrs. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Lego?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Spalding?
Yes.
Ms. Sams? Motion passes.
Under curriculum, I need a motion for items numbers 1 through 3.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Chaz, seconded by Patty. Any question? Roll call.
Mrs. Dare?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Lego?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Spalding?
Yes.
Ms. Samms?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Other,
Before we move forward, I just wanted to mention on number 3, again, one of the reports that I did having to deal with the law with the new start teaching, starting 18-19 year, it's all year. If you go back to that report, the state approved the model that was developed, I can't think of the school district's name right now, for a K-8 school district. When I was in that workshop, I went up and asked them if a school district contacted them, would they send us a copy of their model? They said absolutely. They would just, email it via board. So we may want to take a look at that, because that goes in the law, 18-19.
I can't even imagine. Right? Under policies and public relations, I need a, motion to approve items numbers 1 through 3.
I'd like to make a motion to approve items number 1 through 3 through policies.
It should be by Naomi.
I'll second.
That's,
Dennis got it.
Second by Dennis. I have a question. I have a question on the HIB report.
Yes.
So in the HIB report, there was 3 different dates, for 3 different HIB investigations. And then underneath, so at the top it says, did not commit an act, did not, but then underneath, 1, 2, 3, number 1 says the
Those are
student.
just the 3 areas in terms of which the possible findings could be.
oh, I see. I had that same thought.
Yeah, okay, so do
So
you
that
see how I thought that it
correct.
was up?
So I apologize, that's simply the 3 different
The 3
options
different
that are
things that could happen.
selected,
Okay.
that could happen.
I don't, for some reason, remember seeing it like that, or maybe I just noticed it.
One thing was discussed as a dish, I know Chaz brought it up earlier, in a prior meeting in regards to change as far as principals being able to determine whether or not to further investigate HIP situations and whether or not to look at it as a HIP situation or not. As a district, we've always investigated every issue that's been brought to us completely, just to make sure that every stone was turned. The state has changed what they are requesting from us. So in the past, we would just report anything that was found to be a HIP classifications. Now they're requesting that we report to the state in full. It's a lot of reporting that you give to the state, but they want all alleged HIPs and all HIPs. So that means anything we investigate under that HIP category is reported to the state on top of everything that we're already reporting as being classified as HIP. So we are looking at the policy. We will be speaking with Strauss Esman, we will be talking with you regarding that, to see how we're going to, while we'll still be investigating situations, if we're able to determine whether or not it needs further investigation under the harassment, intimidation, and bullying category. It's trying to identify that piece and how we'll move forward with that, so that'll be forthcoming.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call.
Ms. Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beebe,
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim,
Yes.
Ms. Davidson,
Yes.
Mr. Lego,
Yes.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella,
Yes.
Ms. Spalding,
Yes.
Ms. Samms. Motion passes.
At this time, we're open for public comment on any public comment you may have at this time. Anyone have any public comment? No?
Nada.
All right. So,
I'll make comment.
okay. Mrs. Wilson?
As a board member on another board and with Ray's report, I would like to commend Dr. McCarron's office because we at Black Horse Pike, I've been on them as big as we are. We did not have an accountant. And an accountant makes such a difference in helping the office run and helping the business administrator do their job. So as of now, we are now working, we have a girl that's being trained, that we're gonna have an accountant.
Oh, so you want it audit like ours is what you're saying?
Because I just think that it's great.
$7 million.
When Earl was here, and Earl gave us all that
Yes.
information of how to fix an office, he truly knew how important that was, and people would say, oh my God, the size of the office. Every piece of that, to be able to do the things, to let Frank do what he does and the principals do,
Right.
because you know where everything is, and that's an everyday happening, every day. And somebody has to be on top of that, and it's just unbelievable to be able to work with people like that, and to be a taxpayer, and someone who has kids in the school, grandkids in the school, to see how well it's running and how, you know, how well people work together. And then to hear that professional say that really made me feel good.
Especially because you were also here a few years
Uh,
back when we
uh,
had 12,
I've been-
15, 18 findings, so, yes.
Yes, and it is. And you have to have eyes every day because
Sure.
there's so many accounts of money being spent all over, and then emergencies come up, and then where are we getting that, and what are we doing? It's just great to see people that are on top of things and doing their job.
Thank you. I'm sure you'll let them know that we were thrilled as well,
Oh.
if you could.
Well, Dr.
Thank you.
McCaffrey,
Dr.
sorry,
McCaffrey.
she-
But you can tell the girls too.
they
wouldn't you?
always say.
Our reorg meeting will be at 6:30 on January 9th. And immediately following our reorg meeting, we will stay for our regularly scheduled meeting, so that'll be the only night we have to come in January. We won't have to come a few weeks later.
That was 6 or 6:30?
6:30,
6:30, thank you.
reorg starts. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday. Does anybody have anything else they would like to share? All right, at this time, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Maria, second by Naomi, all in favor? Aye. Ayes have it.